Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first in our series of Alternative Routes into Employment from the Enterprise M3 Armed Forces Veterans and Families programme. I'm Joanne McLeod, the programme manager, and I'm joined today by Andy from Fieldcrafting UK. So just a quick introduction to our programme. We are in the EM3 Armed Forces Veterans and Families programme, and we exist to provide employment support and upskilling opportunities to the armed forces community, including veterans, military spouses and partners, and young people between the ages of 14 and 24. Our series of webinars over the course of August will help with some introductions to what is available in terms of upskilling and training opportunities, and those that we're working with to be able to provide those. So not only do we help with CVs, interview techniques, and looking for jobs, we can also look for training opportunities and helping people to get into the roles that they may not have thought were available to them. So that is why we have Andy here today from Fieldcrafting UK to talk about what they do and how they can support the EM3 programme in helping the armed forces community with their employment prospects. So Andy, it's over to you to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do over at Fieldcrafting.
Hi, well, yeah, good afternoon. I'm from my car. Firstly, apologies for the background, but I'm actually doing my day job at the moment. So we're actually live from Basingstoke Hospital car park, where I currently work full-time doing project management and apprenticeship facilitation with the NHS. So I'm running Fieldcrafting basically in my spare time. Basically, one of the things I was taught during my resettlement process is first and foremost, the aim is try and get the money coming in so you can pay all your bills, and then you can start to concentrate on finding that dream job. So basically, a bit about myself. I left the Army last June after 24 years service. I served with the Royal Signals and then finally 9 years with the Queen Alexandra Royal Army Nursing Corps, based around this area, across Frimley Park, Army headquarters, and other units around that area. Fieldcrafting UK really came about during my resettlement process. I started resettlement during COVID. Being in healthcare, the pandemic took over, and I did readily put my resettlement on hold to help out working infection control at Frimley Park, and then picked up resettlement towards the end of that. As part of that resettlement, I started looking at all sorts of different courses that I could do, and stumbled on one provided by the National Film and Television School in Beaconsfield, or otherwise known as the NFTS. Really weird that I came across this, because I hadn't looked at film and TV since A-levels, and that was, God, it must be nearly 28 years ago. So I hadn't even it hadn't even crossed my mind. But I just went along, had a look at this course. It was all about location management, and found that the film TV industry is quite similar to armed forces life. You know, it's a group of people. You need to be at a place at silly o'clock in the morning in all manner of weathers. You know, and you've got a chain of command, for want of a better word. You've got the director calling the shots. It's really quite similar, and it was actually an industry I really quite enjoyed working for. I completed this course with the NFTS and went on and worked on a couple of productions over the last year. For anyone else that works in film and TV, you know we signed a thing called a Non-Disclosure Act, so I can't actually tell you the name of the productions, but one of them was Apple TV, one of them was with the BBC. There's been a few commercials, so managed to get a little bit of experience behind me there. And it was while I was doing these productions, I started mulling over how I could help people from the forces community who might want to get into this. I think it's potentially part and parcel of my healthcare background. I like helping people. I want to steer them, you know, help steer people in the right direction, or be able to even give them some guidance and opportunities. I was also worried about how I was going to help one of my children find employment. I have 3 boys, 2 of which have special education needs and disabilities. A large part of my career had been spent trying to fight to get them the stability they needed. And now I was settled in Civvy Street, I was trying to wonder how they were going to cope with adult life. And I thought, well, you know what, if I start a business where I can support my son stepping into an industry he likes, then I will be his boss, and he'll never have to work, or he'll never have to worry about finding work. So it was kind of born from wanting to support other people, but supporting my family as well, which is where Fieldcrafting UK came in. I'll give you a chance to drop in there, Joanne, because I'm aware I belt feed in my elevator pitch is pretty much like a spiral staircase. But please do ask more questions.
It's absolutely fantastic, and it's really interesting that you've touched on the fact it wasn't something you thought about, because this is exactly what we are trying to do on our programme, is that if people aren't quite sure of what they want to do, being able to help them explore the options and find out what might be suitable for them, and it might be something that they hadn't even thought of. So it's really interesting that you've brought that up, and fantastic that you're supporting the special educational needs and the armed forces community, which is really great. So do you want to tell us a bit more about what you do at Fieldcrafting then?
Yeah, so basically we set ourselves up as a limited company initially, but then I realised we can't actually get the support we need to get going and support the communities where we want to. So we're currently transitioning to become a community interest company. I haven't got a clue how to do that. So I managed to find a friend who's an apprentice via the an accountant via the Veterans Network, and they're helping us through this whole transition. So they're dealing with that side of things. But basically, we're a training and a production company. And I say production very loosely. We've not started productions yet. We've got ideas in the pipeline. We've got directors that are quite keen in telling some of the stories we've got, but we're not quite there yet. So first and foremost, at the moment, we're a training provider. We're in our first 18 months, and we've managed to get ourselves registered with the Armed Forces Covenant. So that's all registered in place. We're offering 3 services at the moment. The first being training, and that's aimed towards education and film industries, but it can be for other industries as well, because the training is mental health first aid, outdoors first aid, including paediatrics, and first aid at work. And this is all Ofqual regulated, delivering up to and including level 3 training qualifications, which is again part of what we want to do to help people. We don't want to just send people off to work on a production, because it's all in good. Productions are very fluid. You tend to go for like 18 to 24 months, or sometimes even a day, and then you move on to another one. So what we want to try and do is give people stuff they can put on their CV that's going to be useful in productions. And mental health at the moment within film and TV is huge. You've only got to look at charities such as Beck2 or the Film and TV charity. We're really trying to push for mental health support, because I'm going to be brutally honest, in film and TV, it's long hours. It really is long hours. Like being in the Navy, where the focus on the ship, in film and TV, the focus is on the production. And it's had effects on mental health. So what we're proposing to do is train people up and send them towards productions with a mental health supervising qualification. So not just a mental health first aid at work one, an actual level 3 qualification in supervising that mental health. What else we offer is mentoring, geared towards film and TV. And I'm going to say it's mentoring because, again, film and TV is very fluid. It's all about networking. It's all about finding the right people. But we also want people not necessarily going to hold their hands, and that might not be the right phrase, but it's allowing people to make their own decisions and taking their informed decisions. And we could steer them towards reputable companies, because again, if you look at film and TV on social media at the moment, or any on the internet, anyone can just start up a production. To get going, you really want to be working for reputable companies that are going to set, are going to be ticking all the right boxes, and that's what we want to try and do. We've already got links with some really good film offices. We got Dorset, Hampshire, Yorkshire, Screen Skills, which is the leading provider for training in film and television with the UK. We're already linked in with them. And as part of that mentoring, we're offering 6 hours spread over 6 months for free at absolutely no cost to the person, and it's one-to-one tuition. So essentially, an hour a month, we would sit down face-to-face like we're doing now, or even physically, and just talk people through some of the training that they could do, some of the opportunities, some of the productions we may be aware of that are starting up in that area. And the third area we're working on is we're just developing at the moment. It's still in the early days. It's humanitarian side of things, and that's not going out to countries. We're not equipped to do that. We're not trained to do that. And the last thing we ever want to be is one of these organisations that suddenly turns up with no training and just gets in the way on the ground. What we want to do is try and help back here in the UK. So assisting with people that have come to the UK looking for support from film and TV within other countries, but they can no longer work there necessarily. So we want to try and offer them the same links that we're offering to the service personnel into that industry. So again, signposting towards those film offices we've mentioned.
Brilliant. That all sounds really fantastic. And I mean, the mentorship is a massive part of what we're doing, and why we are at EM3 trying to build this sort of network of employers and training providers like yourself, to be able to provide that mentorship, and especially with supporting the young people from service backgrounds. Sometimes this mentorship is more sort of experimental, isn't it, rather than this is exactly what I want to do and I'm gonna look for those opportunities. But that experimental time where they can decide, actually, this is what I think I want to do, and after a few sessions of mentorship, they're solid. That's it. This is the route I'm going down. Or it might be a case of, oh, I didn't realise that working in film and TV, I was going to have to work 14-hour shift. Perhaps that's not for me, which is as valuable in itself in terms of helping the young people get to where they want to be with their careers also. And I mean, I think it sounds fantastic what you're doing, and it's great to have you on board. So if you had sort of any advice for someone that's at that point where they're resettling and thinking about doing something similar to you, what would that be for them?
As in working with the industry or setting up a company, did you mean? Or?
Both.
Right, setting up a country. I was going to say country. Wow, that's what's setting up a company. Research and networking, definitely. I had no experience in setting this up. It's purely going because of the help and guidance I've had from largely the forces community and the veteran community. There is a large network out there. Again, it's about networking. It's finding the right people that can help you and offer the right guidance. And as you mentioned before, it's all about dipping in and out and finding what works for you. You know, some areas might work for you. You may be able to work with some people. Some areas you won't. And you just don't expect everything to happen overnight, because it doesn't. And there's definitely going to be peaks and troughs. We originally started out as a company providing therapy sessions using scale models, and then we rapidly found out that wasn't. It didn't. There was already a really good organisation. It's called Models for Heroes. Look them up if you want to. Run by a chap called Malcolm Childs. He's a great bloke and he's doing wonderful things with that. We found out that it wasn't quite working for us to deliver the help and support we wanted to do. And literally the film and TV side thing has been developmental. So yeah, if a company side of things, absolutely go for it. But that piece of advice I had at the start, which is find a job, get the money coming in first, and then focus on finding that dream job, building that company. That's my advice. I had a family and children I had to support. Thankfully I've got the pension behind me, which has enabled me to come, giving us a little bit of barrier. But it's first and foremost, get that stability, get that security behind you, and then start exploring. So that's the setting up the company side of things. With respect to getting into film and TV, it's again network. Absolutely come to us for a little bit of advice if you want to ask some questions, if you want us to put you in touch with people, because that's predominantly what we're here for, to put you in touch with the same people that have helped me get off the ground, rather than just sit here and keep it all to myself. I want to push it out there and help other people. There are groups on Facebook that you can join, and it's research, but also just be prepared to start at the bottom. And it's something I have noticed, not widespread, but there are some areas that sometimes do struggle with having potentially had a full career, climbed to the very top, and then we suddenly leave. And what we need to realise is we're no longer in that train set, we're in someone else's train set. So be prepared in somewhere like film and TV where you're not known. You're going to potentially have to start at the bottom, entry-level jobs such as marshals, etc. And you might be prepared for a couple of your first jobs to be stood on a corner telling the public they can't go down a street because there's a stunt. But because of the skills that we can bring to the industry, we're there 5 minutes before. We can get ourselves to a remote field in the middle of nowhere. We don't necessarily care if it's raining. We're happy to be there. It soon becomes noticed. You'll soon get picked up by the people that matter, and the progression can be quite quick for the right people.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andy. I think that's been a really good insight into what you do at Fieldcrafting, but also how we can support the armed forces community into careers in film and television. So on the EM3 programme, we are steering towards these sustainable skilled sectors in Surrey and Hampshire. So we're looking at space and satellite, gaming, digital technologies, but we support with all career options. So it's been really great to have you today to talk about film and television and how we can support with that option. So for anyone out there who is interested in getting to find out more about what Fieldcrafting can do for them, or what the EM3 programme can do for them, you can register at rfe.org.uk/EM3. And this has been a really bite-sized webinar to kick us off in August, which is fantastic, because Andy's on his day job, on his lunch break, and we're really, really grateful for his time. And next week we will have someone joining us from Enology to talk about training opportunities in software development. And that is everything from us, unless anyone has any questions. I don't think there are any questions. Oh, we do have a question just for more information on Fieldcrafting. Andy, are you happy to give another quick rundown of that?
Actually, what is the name, or what is the company? So the name, oh wow, okay. The name just came out of nowhere, really. I was trying to, as I mentioned at the start, we originally started off trying to, we were looking at using arts and crafts and scale models as a form of therapy to help people through mental health journeys. And that's where the crafting side of things came out from it, and the fields came out. I was trying to find a link to the armed forces. That was it. That's basically how it came on, and it's kind of stuck. What we are as a company, we're basically a training and soon to be, because we've got something in the pipeline, a production company. The training comes in the guise of first aid, mental health, outdoors first aid, and BLS, annual refreshers, basically all Ofqual regulated up to and including level 3. The training is provided by instructors that have at least a level 3 teaching qualification or a carver, and everyone has an enhanced DBS. I say everyone like there's loads of it. There's about 5 or 6 of us, because we're still in early days. But it's also mentorship to try and help mentor people into this industry. Brilliant.
Thank you again for running back through that. So that is everything for the moment, and we look forward to seeing you next week when we are joined by Enology. Thank you.